Chapter is a Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and this is being recorded on December 19th, 2018, episode 210. If you want to see all of my shows, all of my episodes, all 210 of them, or just about that, you can go to my Walk in the Park website, walkinthepark.tv. That's a website, .tv. Not a common one, but it works. And this is a public access television series, weekly television series, and cablecast from Ithaca, New York, produced in Ithaca, New York. It's also being cablecast in Cortland at this time. And well, maybe we'll get it some other places, but it's produced at Pegasus Studio. Pegasus stands for Public Educational Government Access System. And this is the public access part of it, cablecast on Channel 13 in Ithaca. You can become a producer of local television. I am a volunteer producer. I do it myself. And I took a little training and got certified to use the studio and use the equipment and check out equipment and so forth. So anybody in the participating Tompkins County area that, particularly the town of Ithaca and the city of Ithaca, can do this for free. There's a small fee for people that live in surrounding towns. And you can become a producer. If you want to find out about all of our series and also the trainings and so forth, go to our website at pegasus.webstarts.com and find out a whole lot more about public access at our Pegasus Community Media Center in Ithaca, New York. So last episode, 209, we went to Fairhaven Beach State Park on Lake Ontario, which is about 15 miles west of Oswego, New York, on the shore, and it's a pretty cool place. And we're going to go up to that area again, but not exactly the same spot. So here we are looking at the Finger Lakes, the lower right, and then up on Lake Ontario. Of course, this is where all the water from the Finger Lakes eventually goes, like we talked about last time. And there is the location of Fairhaven Beach State Park, northwest of Syracuse. And Oswego is not shown on the map, but it's near there, and north of the Finger Lakes. It's actually one of the Finger Lake State Park region's state parks. And when I used to work for the state parks, I would go up to Fairhaven Beach and do things up there, work on projects. So get in a little closer. And go back to the park here, and there's a road that goes into the park. The just left the center, there's a dark green area. That is the Little Sodus Bay, and we talked about that a bit last time. And then up in the upper left, of course, is Lake Ontario. And we looked at some bluffs and so forth. They're going along the shoreline. You look at the upper center, you see a light area. That's the beach. And to the right of that is a couple of bluffs along the shoreline. And here we are looking for one of them, where the campground is. And so anyway, we are at Fairhaven Beach, and it came in there. And so here we are at the beach itself, which is probably the best known part of the park. It's probably the finest beach on Lake Ontario in New York State, probably. And actually, I understand that the sand on this beach was trucked in from Long Island quite some time ago, probably from Jones Beach or someplace like that, Fire Island, something like that. So let's zoom in a little bit. We're looking at the beach and zoom in, and across the water here, just a little bit farther along the shore to the northeast, are these bluffs. And the first one there that we see on the right, the closest one, that is Sitts Bluff. And we took a good look at that last week. And then there's one beyond it, which is really interesting. Also really interesting, and that is McIntyre's Bluff. And that's where we're going to go today. But let's look at the, okay, first of all, the upper right, upper center to the right, just below the top of the screen, that is where Sitts Bluff is. And then just right above center is the bluff where the campground is, which was not that distinct on its face along the shore. But here's Sitts Bluff. And so we took a good look at that. Now what these are, as we explained last time, is these are the wave-eroded drumlins. Drumlins, what are drumlins? Well, this is a depiction of these short hills, these slow hills that are sort of elongated sort of blunt on one side and stretched out on the other. Made of earth, packed clay, mostly clay, sand, boulders, and so forth, as we'll see. And we take a closer look. That were left here by the glaciers during or at the end of the Ice Age. And you look at the upper right there, you might be able to make out that's actually the north end of Owasco Lake, and the city of Auburn would be just to the left of that. Well, anyway, there is a huge field of these, what they call a drumlin field, that stretches from like Rochester to Syracuse principally, but also all the way from Buffalo to probably Watertown. There are drumlins. So these are these strange earthen hills. The most famous one is Chimney Bluffs, which is also a state park, which is a little bit to the west of Fairhaven Beach, just west of Sodus Bay. And this is a spectacular place. We'll go there sometime in the show. And what happens is these eroded drumlins, when they meet the lake shore, the lake has been pounding against them for thousands of years and erodes the base of them, and they keep getting undermined. And so then the rain and smelting snow erode this sort of badlands type landscape. So Chimney Bluffs is the most spectacular example, but not the only example. So let's go back to Fairhaven Beach State Park, and which is just left of center there. You can see the lower left there. And go up the shore to the northeast, and there's a pin there that says Sterling Nature Center. So very close to Fairhaven Beach is Sterling Nature Center, which is a Cayuga County park. We're in Cayuga County, and let me see if I get any. Don't have any copy on that yet. We're going to take a look at this other bluff, this McIntyre's Bluff. Let's see. Wait a minute. Get right here. Oh, there we go. Sterling Nature Center. Sitts Bluff is the one we looked at last week, and I just showed you a picture of a couple of minutes ago. And then down along the shore, or up along the shore to the northeast, is McIntyre Bluff, and that is in Sterling Nature Center, which is a Cayuga County park, as I said. So let's look more closely at that. McIntyre's Bluff. Now you can see that it looks like a bluff from this Google Earth view. And then the arrow that I put on there is pointing to the area in the next slide, which is the Nature Center, as it were. There's a parking lot in the lower center, and then just upper right of center, there's some buildings in there, and that is the Nature Center itself, the building, the Interpretive Center, and then the upper left, of course, is the shore. And you can see some paths going through there. We're going to go on some of those paths. So this is from a plan of the park, again pointing out those features. Jensfold Road, that's the road goes in there, that goes into the park. And there's a picnic shelter and a visitor parking, and then up above it says existing Interpretive Center, pond over to the right. There's 1,400 acres, over 1,400 acres in this park. So that's pretty big. That's actually bigger, I think, than Fairhaven Beach. And they're going to build a new Interpretive Center. There's a lot of new things going to be done in this park. And right now it's an old farmhouse, but as we'll see in a minute. But they're going to put in, I think the plan is a 5,000 square foot green building that will be environmentally sound, and that will be the new Interpretive Center. So here's a map of the park, the Nature Center. There's also some adjacent conservation area, and the road that goes in, and trails and so forth. We're going to be looking at the lower part of this map right here. And let's see if I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to go back to this one. Okay, so the copy says that Sterling Nature Center is a 1,428-acre nature center in northern Cayuga County with 10 miles of hiking trails and 2 miles of Lake Ontario shoreline to explore, open dawn to dusk. This is one of the longest sections of undeveloped sections of Lake Ontario shore in the Sterling Nature Center property in the adjacent conservation area, which is part of that 1,428 acres. So let's take a closer look here. We're going to go to the lower part of that map, and if you look above the center there, there's a P that stands for the parking area. The things we just looked at, basically this stuff, and we're going to go. And then there's a star. That's the kind of a star. That's the Interpretive Center. And we're going to take a path, probably number 3, if you can read that. I don't know if you can. That's going to take us down to the shore. And then you notice there's an area that says Buttonbush Wetland. That is all along the shore where these bluffs meet the lake. There are, of course, the bluffs, and then there are valleys that are flooded in between the bluffs. And those valleys have been cut off by the eroded material from the bluffs that the lake has eroded and spread out along the face of these valleys, creating these marshes, wetlands, and so forth. So Buttonbush Wetland, we'll go by that. And then we'll walk along the shore, along McIntyre's Bluff, as it says there. So here's the one of the entrance signs coming into Sterling Nature Center, a little kiosk that has a lot of information on it. And then this is the building, the old farmhouse that is the Nature Center. And when I was there in August during the week, it didn't happen to be open. They do have a lot of programs going on. You can go to their website, particularly go to their Facebook page, and they've got a lot of scheduled things going on. And there's a big friends group, and it's really a neat thing. There's a lot more to tell you about that place. Let's see. We're going to, okay, I think, yeah, this is walking to the shore here on the top of the lower part of Bluff here, and that is an overlook that over the lake. And we're going to start off there and take a walk down along the shore in this video that I'm going to show you right now. Get this up, bring it right up, and we'll show you, take you along the shore here. Pretty amazing landscape. The all that stuff, all that material was scraped by the glaciers from, well, what's now the bottom of Lake Ontario, and some of it even from Canada, um, and different formations of rock. I think that red rock and that almost to the top of that little peak there is a piece of sandstone from the, well, more than 400 million years ago, maybe from the bottom of Lake Ontario. In any case, you can see it's quite a mixture. There are cobbles and boulders and slabs, but also lots and lots of clay and sand. It's a real mixture of stuff that the glaciers pack together and is exposed along the lake here. So it's pretty spectacular landscape. And so there you have it. There's 3 places that are publicly accessible in this area, southwest of Oswego. The Sterling Nature Center and McIntyre's Bluff, you can see this kind of landscape. And at Chimney Bluff State Park, which is the other side of Fairhaven, the other side of Sodus, and of course at Fairhaven Beach State Park itself, so as we saw last time. So you can even go up there in the wintertime. It's a little rough along the lake, and you get these big ice formations along the shore where the waves pound in the spray, and they build up these big hunks of ice. So especially like January and February, it's pretty amazing. But you got to watch out on the ice, though. So I understand, I think you can walk along the top of this bluff. There's a trail that goes along the top of McIntyre Bluff. And so you get a whole different view. I didn't get a chance to go up there this time, but I really want to. And there's lots of other trails. There's like 10 miles of trails or something in the park to explore around wetlands of various sorts. So nice place to visit. Now, as is often the case, there is a history behind the creation of a park or a preserve that people don't always know, but it can be quite a struggle, quite a environmental battle sometimes to preserve some of these places. And the threats that occur to special places sometimes are the struggles that happen over sometimes the things that lead them to become parks. Places like Rocky Mountain National Park and Yosemite National Park, some of our better known ones, had environmental struggles and people that cared about them that rose up to protect them from various kinds of uses that would be incompatible with the values that the parks are representing. So let's take a look at some of that history of Sterling Nature Center and the shoreline along here. So this is a picture from I think it's the Friends, well, one of the websites, either from the website of the Sterling Nature Center Park, or they're friends of their group. Let me see. That's actually, yes, from the Friends of Sterling Nature Center. This picture, and so I'm going to give a little history starting here. From the Sterling Nature Center Functional Management Plan, which runs from 2016 to 2025, so it's their current planning document. Okay, so in 1971, Rochester Gas and Electric, RG&E, began investigating the area for suitability of locating 2 coal-fired electric generating plants. So this was going to be a power plant, 2 of them actually. And so we'll go to the next image here. Over the next 6 years, RG&E purchased 2,800 acres that was composed of 28 adjacent parcels of land for $28 million. During that time, they applied to the Atomic Energy Commission to construct a 1,150 megawatt nuclear power plant on the property. The plant was approved in 1976, so there was going to be a nuclear power plant there. Due to public opposition, the plant was scrapped in 1980. This picture was by Michael Stein. So what you're looking at here is not a power plant that was built there. You're looking at one that's on the other side of Oswego, about 20 miles away. The 9 Mile Point plants. There's actually 3 nuclear power plants. Let's zoom in that a little bit there. This is actually probably looking from the east along the shore of Lake Ontario. So here, we'll put them on the map here. So you see Fairhaven Beach to the left, Sterling Nature Center. Then you see the city of Oswego with that pin. And the upper right is the 9 Mile Point, 9 Mile Point nuclear station. So let's see. Get to the next picture here. Oh, no, we'll stay to that one. Naima Point Nuclear Generating Station, 2 containment buildings on the right and a cooling tower, and the Fitzpatrick plant is on the left. So there's 3 of them, 3 nuclear power plants there. So they've been operating for quite some time. So there they are. There's the arrangement. Now let's go down to a Google Earth image from above. Okay, Unit 1, now I'm not sure which of the buildings that is here, was came online in December 1969. That's one of the oldest nuclear power plants in the country. That's still in operation. Unit 2 came online in 1988. So Unit 2, I think, uses that cooling station. So maybe the Unit 1 is the leftmost buildings. And then the James A. Fitzpatrick plant went online in 1975, and that's over to the right. So there's 3 nuclear plants there, 3 reactors, and they're very old. And on October 31st, 2006, Constellation, that's the name of the company that owned them at that time, maybe they still do, announced that the Nuclear Regulatory Commission had granted 20-year license extensions to both units. Unit 1 is now licensed to operate until 2029, and Unit 2 is licensed to operate to 2046. These are very old plants. This is very old technology. And the stresses of, I used to be an anti-nuclear activist, so I can talk about this stuff, but the stresses of nuclear energy are really an order of magnitude over normal industrial stresses and tolerances. So these are aging plants, and they may be giving off more radiation than normal. And the normal operation of nuclear power plants gives off some radiation because they have to vent it, because it builds up in the buildings, and they can't go beyond what's permitted for the workers in the plants to have. So in the 50 miles downwind from nuclear power plants, there has been research has shown that there are significant health effects, increases in rates of things like leukemia and other fatal diseases. And that this is from the work of Dr. Ernest Sternglass, the late Dr. Ernest Sternglass, who was a physicist at University of Pittsburgh. He gave a talk in Ithaca a few years ago about all this. Anyway, so we don't have that at the park at Sterling Nature Center due to a number of things. Okay, in 1982, New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC, proposed the development of low-level radioactive waste storage on the site, on what's now the Sterling Nature Center. So maybe that was going to come from these 3 nukes. And however, the complex geology of the property caused the proposal to be withdrawn. Similarly, in 1989, a regional landfill serving central and western New York was proposed. This, too, met strong public opposition. From this proposal, a concerned citizens group, the Sterling Site Task Force, was formed, and eventually the proposal failed. This is from this photo is from the Sterling Nature Center Facebook page. That wasn't their caption, of course, but that's one of their wetlands, one of their wetlands. So let's see, what do I got next here? Let's see. In 1990, the Sterling Task Force received a grant of federal funds to develop a feasibility study of the 2,800 acres owned by RG&E. The feasibility study, completed in 1992, recommended government purchase of the land, preserving approximately 1,350 acres for conservation and parkland, and returning the remaining land to the tax rolls for private development. And that was done, I guess the town did that because they bought the land from the owners at that time. It may not have been RG&E at that point. Anyway, they bought the land, so in order to offset the cost of buying the land and creating the park, they had to sell some of it off. And so there's ended up over 1,428 acres are now the Sterling Nature Center Park. So that's a pretty cool history there. So we're going to just take a quick peek, a little introduction to another topic here. Pretty much covered that. But anyway, I recommend that you sometime going up to the Sterling Nature Center. It's a park that a lot of people down in the Southern Finger Lakes are not aware of. And it's a very cool place. I want to go back and walk a lot of the trails and look at the wetlands, and they have programs going on too. So if you go to especially their Facebook page, they announce things coming up. So I highly recommend that. So let's just take a quick peek back to Fairhaven Beach State Park. I'm just going to, there are up on the bluff, one of the bluffs, there is some interpretive signs about the Civilian Conservation Corps. There was a CCC camp there years ago. And I think in another episode, I'll just take another look at that. And we'll look a little bit at the history of the CCC. It's pretty interesting. That's something we will follow up. So, okay, so that's we're winding down here. We're coming to the end of our show, and I want to thank you all for joining me here. And when you get a chance, turn off this screen. The chance is right now, actually. Turn off this screen, and when you get a chance, go out for a walk in the park. See you next week. So we're going to do our final credit here. Coming off here, the next little video, then I'll be gone. Is a